What's up, guys? Welcome to our channel. We're a group of 5 friends who met 6 years ago in France. We gather people here to share our experiences on study and work abroad. For today's episode, we're calling in from Calgary, Haiti, London, and Paris. Okay, guys, so let's pick up from where we left off last week.
Okay, on my side, the most shocking thing when I arrived to France were the working hours of the shops, restaurants, or any kind of facilities, and especially supermarkets. Like, come on, who works from 10 a.m. until 5 or 6 p.m.? Like, people are still supposed to be at work or like doing something, to gain a living. And then everything closes afterwards. So yeah, this was a huge shock. Or like you go to have lunch around 2 p.m. and they're like, no, sorry, we don't serve any more food.
Mm.
Are you serious? um and you have no idea how many times I found myself starving because on Sunday no supermarkets are open. Excusez-moi. It's a necessity. But I think in the end I found out that this is only happens outside of Paris. So right now things are much easier for me. Yeah, and it's good. The lesson that I learned from this period was that you actually have to plan how much food you have and that you have to think ahead of time for such things.
I think it's probably because we've been used to this since childhood. Like we know on Sundays we're not gonna find anything. So maybe we're spontaneous, but for this we know we need to buy groceries before Sunday. Yeah, that's probably the case. But at the same time, it's probably because of labor laws because they're very strict and it's a bit harder for supermarkets to open on Sundays. They have to pay more in terms of salaries. So that's probably part of the explanation. And I think things are slowly starting to change because it's getting more flexible. So usually you can find one or two supermarkets, but you need to know where it is. Yeah. So that's also why French people probably don't have too many problems with that because they know where it's open when it's not gonna be open.
How about, back at home in Bulgaria? Do you not have this problem?
Back home in Bulgaria, I would say that you can find everyday supermarkets. And usually they're open until quite late, like 10 p.m., sometimes even midnight, including pharmacies, which is, I think, is very important as well, because in France, no. Even in Paris, there are very few pharmacies that are open on Sunday. For the shops, I don't know how people think that they're supposed to make money when they close at like 5:30 or 6 p.m., like a clothing shop, when people finish work at 7 p.m. and which means that you only have Saturday for shopping, which is a bit it's a bit weird for me.
Yeah, we do need to clarify, like in Paris, that's not the case. And in the big cities, there are like a couple like stores that are open till late or during the weekends. But again, like a couple. This is not the norm. Like in France, if you're sick at like 8 o'clock, you just need to call like the emergency because like the pharmacy is not open for you. Again, where we used to live. It may not be the case in Paris. But again, even in Paris, like most pharmacies are closed after like 7 p.m. There's only a few in every neighborhood that are open late hours. Another big example that I thought of was when we lived, so during our college years, I remember like calling Domino's Pizza at like 9:45 because they close at 10. So we were like, oh, can you order pizza? And they were like, mais il est 21h45. And we were like, oh, yeah, we know, but on Google it says you guys are closed at 10. And they're like, yeah, precisely. So like we're not making pizza for you. And that was a surprise for me because if you're it's 15 minutes before closing. So for me that's so that's like quite I feel like it's reasonable to order a pizza 15 minutes before they close. But in France, it's precisely 15 minutes before closing, so I'm not gonna make pizza for you. So like I guess it's safer to call by 9 and not 9:45.
Yeah, 10 p.m. probably includes the cleaning time and stuff.
Yeah, exactly, that's actually quite interesting. But as Emma said, this is also related to French labor law. So it's understandable that a lot of stores, like respect the working hours and stuff, but it's definitely not better. I mean, there are more stores that are open late in Paris, so it really depends on where you live. But as Galia said, like the timing is like essential to your daily life. Like you should schedule when you're gonna do your groceries, and it's not gonna be during the weekend when you're not working and when you have free time, because the store people are also having their free time during the weekend. So you need to find some time during the weekdays to do your groceries.
This is a good experience for all of us. Like going abroad to study means taking, responsibilities on your own life, your own schedule, your lifestyle. Back at home, we're also comfortable. We can go just pop into any convenience store, like supermarket, pharmacy, anytime we want, at any time of the day. But yeah, if you're a student in France, just make sure that you are responsible for your life.
That was very striking to me when I arrived, because I've been to Taiwan as an exchange student, and like everything was open all the time. It was like Christmas, like you go outside, everything is open. You can go to any convenience store. That was very, very convenient. So my parents live in small city, right? So usually on Sundays there is nothing open, but they know that in that store they can find this, and in that store they can find this on Sunday. So probably when you know more about what's open, you can survive on Sundays and find eggs if you want to make crepes or something. So yeah, you can get by. Just not as convenient, probably.
And like in Taiwan, how did you take advantage of everything being open?
We started consuming a lot, like getting coffee at convenience stores.
Bubble tea. Did you like bubble tea?
Bubble tea every day. Yeah, this kind of stuff. You get used to this kind of life. And actually, I do believe that you consume more, because on Sundays in France, basically you cook. You don't go out to eat. You don't go to the supermarket. You don't do grocery shopping. Instead, you might be cooking with your family, having lunch together, then take your walk, stuff like that. So it's a bit different. On Sunday, the lifestyle is slightly different. It's like taking a break.
For anyone who has lived in China, like big cities in China may have know, the life is very convenient. It's too convenient. You can get deliveries of food or emergency stuffs even after the midnight. So just as Emma has said, that really like promotes the consumption, but at the same time, it's very convenient. Like you can get whatever you want. Like especially when there's emergency stuffs, you can get whatever you want. By your phone. Everything's on the phone.
WeChat is life.
Yeah, WeChat has everything.
But I remember you guys had like what Baidu WeMigreat and like a lot of WeMigreat apps, but you can all do it with WeChat now, right? It's like
Yeah, now like WeChat is kind of an aggregator that combines all the good apps in every aspects of life. So for the deliveries, they have some providers for you, so you can select. But even in Paris, I have some accounts of the local Chinese restaurants, so they can do deliveries via WeChat.
But the one like good thing I think I learned from living in France is that Sunday is a very particular day. Because in other places where like it's very convenient, but like Sunday is not any different from other days. But in France, Sunday is like a very particular day where you don't do work, where you don't actually do anything like for your survival, but you're just like, I'm just chilling, I'm reading a book, or like I'm going on a walk, or spending time with your friends and family. And I think that's like a very nice aspect of French culture. It's very particular, even in Paris, the capital of France. We know that like Sunday is a very particular day. It's more quiet than the other days, and people are all like, taking strolls or like doing their own thing. And I think it's a very nice part of French culture to appreciate.
I definitely agree. In the last 2 years in France, that was the only 2 years in my life that I had the time to myself to read or to reflect about life. Like right now in the UK or in Asia, it's always just go, 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 work, work, work. Sundays, okay, 9 to 11, brunch with this person, 11 to 1, I'm going to meet this person, 1 to 4, do this, do this, do this. You have no time to think at all. So that's a really good part of French culture too.
And just to add on that, when I was in China, I actually encountered, for me, it's like a blasphemy that you had to work on a Sunday. You had to go to school or work on Sunday. And it was like a real shock for me. I think if this happens in France, there'll be a revolution.
Manifestation.
Yay.
You know, in China now they have the 996 system. So like you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for 6 days of a week. So it's 996, and that's actually promoted by many tech companies in China. And more companies are adopting this mechanism.
And I can tell you, they do answer to emails on Sunday as well.
Yeah.
996. So you're working 60 hours a week at least.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because
Wow,
like
for me that's a lot. 9 to 9 for me is like a lot.
But you're well paid. You're well paid
Hmm.
for that, yeah.
just for the techie people, right? Like the programmers and
now
developers.
it's not tested in the tech companies, but then you know like many more companies are adopting this thing as it's becoming a common standards in China. So.
Okay, Jeanette, what about you?
Let me just touch something on the classroom setting. Okay, so back in Singapore, I think in general in Asia, we are more reactive. You know, we are prone to think that whoever is in front of us talking would be someone who is really credible, right? And we won't question or rebut whatever that person is saying. So in this way, I feel like in a classroom, usually people are more quiet. Like students would be like, oh, okay, whatever you say, I agree. I'm just going to take notes, and this is what I'm going to study for my exams, right? But then in France, as we all know, people are much more opinionated. They tend to rebut a lot more, express their own opinions, and it becomes like sometimes they even argue with each other in front of the professor, which I think is awesome, right? Because only by this way you're able to, learn how the other person is thinking, right? So I think that is one very big difference between attending school in France as opposed to attending school in Singapore, I would think.
Totally agree with you. And I don't think it's only limited to like the classroom. I think that we can see this reactivity everywhere. Like, for example, like you go in the park and you see people discussing politics, sitting on a bench, drinking coffee, or like in the bus, they talk about it. So yeah.
For me personally, what I experienced in my former experience in China was that I will only speak in the class when I'm super sure about my answer. And that's something that I keep learning when I got into France, that in the classroom you can actually have your voice, and it could be just a simple question that you have doubts on, but you should share it. And otherwise your voice, you should know that your voice matters. That's basically.
Remember at the beginning when we first came to France, I was actually at Emma's house and we were having a dinner with some other French friends, and they were discussing French politics, I think. And what struck me was how, for me, like their discussion seemed very confrontational. Like they were all discussing with one another, and it like, like voices are being raised, and they're just like, no, je suis pas d'accord, and then, they just like go on and on and on. And I was like, wow, this is really, really awkward. Like I'm becoming extremely uncomfortable. But then like after that episode, it's as if like nothing happened. They weren't fighting. It's just that for me, that kind of discussion is very confrontational, and I probably wouldn't have that with most of my friends in Canada, especially in that way where they're like, I disagree with you. Like the idea of I disagree with you, I think is very, yeah, confrontational, at least for me, from where I come from. But in France, that's not a bad thing. It's not actually saying anything against you personally. It's no, I think differently, and this is why. And I think this is considered to be like an integral part of French conversation. Like you should be very intellectual and actually prove why you disagree. And I don't think they consider it to be a very bad thing at all. And I guess like yeah, that's the art of French conversation, and that's what I also learned with my French friends. Whenever I say something, they're like, "No, I disagree," and you have to learn that they're not saying like, "I don't like you," therefore like I disagree with you, therefore I don't like you. It's no, on that point I disagree because of this reason. So there's a certain like yeah, I guess they're encouraged to have their own thoughts and to really like use reason, which is particular to French culture. Number one, there's like a problem, and then number two. What happened?
I think it's a mouse.
Oh my god, are you serious? Show us.
Are you in Paris?
Really
That
come
goes right into the bloopers.
Oh my god.
door.
It might come to you. So now you open the door and let it go.
How am I gonna let it go? Okay, no, let's continue with this. I'll deal with this afterwards. Okay,
Big, this big.
this big. Like this big. Thank you so much for this great conversation that we had. And if you liked us, please click the like button. And if you want to hear more of us, don't forget to subscribe. Yay!
Subscribe. Oh no, I can't do it. There you
Oh,
go.
it's-